Although it might feel like it is a long way away, we will move on past this chapter of lockdown and self-isolation and quarantine. We will find solutions to the myriad problems that have exploded like volcanoes across the pages of the worldwide media and into our consciousness. All of those things where we felt like the answers were insurmountable will be addressed. Questions will be answered about global supply chains and securing the availability of critical capability within our country. The questions around medicine and drug manufacture and availability will be answered. Questions around ensuring our frontline medical staff have what is needed so that they can support society the next time this happens in safety and with what they need and when they need it. The questions around being organised and responsive when we are next asked to move into a period of more disciplined and isolated living. The maturity to avoid stockpiling and wastefully stressing the supply of food and day-to-day goods through hysteria and fear that motivated so many towards those behaviours. Maybe more trust in our leaders as they wrestle with complex and multidimensional decisions with incomplete and sometimes unreliable data on which to make good, balanced choices for entire populations. Maybe leaders who can learn to be more transparent and trusting with us all as they work through these options and implement the plans and actions that mitigate the challenge and damage that may otherwise be experienced by us all. Maybe a media ecosystem that abates its insatiable need for clicks so that at times like this we can all benefit from balanced and insightful communication that we can trust more readily. Either way, the deep desire that all of us will feel is to somehow put all of this behind us, to reach forward for something that makes us feel more normal, to somehow return to the familiar, to feel good again, to sit at a cafe and experience again the joy of a cup of home roasted coffee, and to savour the extravagance of the taste of freedom, to be able to leave the house with more than one other friend or family member, to go to work, to fall into familiar and comforting routines of life. These desires are compelling. We are already feeling them build within us, and we're about to be overwhelmed with a set of forces that will do all they can to help us back to that place of normalcy and business as usual. Every single brand in the world is about to dig deeper than they ever have in their history and to spend the billions of dollars that will be necessary to usher you back to a place of normality. The machine that sits behind that advertising industry is really good at this. And right now, at this momentous time in history, we're all about to see how awesome and effective it is capable of being. Advertisers are absolutely brilliant at working out what it is we need and then filling that space with a product which perfectly fits the shape of what we desire. The really good marketeers are able to dig underneath those surface things that our minds need and touch our hearts, influence our feelings, and to an extent, rewire the way we feel. And right now, we are maybe at our most vulnerable. Maybe now more than at any other time in living memory. We have been living through what for most of us has been the most deeply unsettling time in our lives. We have had morning after morning where we have woken, and because our lives have been so stable and predictable for so long, it has sometimes taken a moment to remember that today is not going to be like that. A flood of frustration and helplessness floods through our minds as we remember that we are again going to have to live today indoors with little connection outside of the people that are our bubble. The people and family who we so much want to be with and hold and hug must again be held at arm's length, literally. But amidst all of the uneasiness and worry, we have seen some amazing things. A skyline over London with clear blue skies day after day as pollution has largely disappeared. A map showing chemical dispersion over the great industrial cities of the world largely disappeared, and the readouts of noxious gases in the atmosphere around those vast factories and mines falling like a stone. We have woken up to the sound of birds like we have never heard them before. Complete absence of the drone and hum of engines and machines. We have seen skies cleared all day of planes and the noise they make. We struggle to remember what they sounded like and how much they contended with the beautiful sounds of nature we hear all through the day and into the evening. We see pictures of dolphins. Yes, dolphins in the waters of Venice in Italy. And we see the crystal clear water contrasted against the dank polluted waters and crowded streets that have been the daily reality of that beautiful city for decades until this time. And we are presented with pictures from all over the world with before and after shots that make us wonder at the beauty of our world and remind us of the daily damage we have inflicted on it. Of Himalayan mountains that can be clearly seen from India. Of empty streets where mountain goats have wandered in and set up home. And we are in awe. In just a few weeks, our planet is transforming in front of our eyes. In 360-degree reality, we are seeing right in front of us how our world could be if we could find a way to live in a more harmonious and less deadly way on this planet. We have also seen some things that we want to forget as we rush to normalcy. The highly dedicated and resolved and sacrificial people who always come to our rescue in times like this, working on the front line, trying to keep this thing from us. And as a society, we see that we have placed our priorities somewhere else rather than properly providing the right clothing, equipment and medicine as they hold back this disease. Bus drivers continuing to get us around, waste collection continuing like clockwork, with people being exposed to risk on our behalf to help us stay healthy and safe. We have seen the lifeblood of our economy, small businesses that no longer have enough money to pay their way, their staff and their tenancies. And we know in our heart of hearts that those businesses are not going to return to life by magic. That each of those businesses has seen dedicated people give everything they have to not only make a living, but provide for their retirement, and that it has been taken from them as they have been, along with all of us, forced to retreat to our small bubbles of humanity and isolated in our homes, and unable to do anything but watch helplessly as their lives unpeel a little more day by day until they are ruined. We don't really know how to get our head around the number of 1/5 of our population claiming some kind of wage subsidy through this early period of disruption. And again, in our heart, we know we have a long way to go before we are through with this, and we can't imagine how every one of those people will find a way forward in their lives. And at a time like this, we don't need an editorial or a front page article to tell us that we have challenges in this nation that we just don't seem to be able to get on top of and dispel. It's being played out in full 4K, high definition resolution reality right in front. And in our normal lives, they are problems that we have been ignoring for day after week after month after year. We are used to being told that men don't care about women's rights, and that Pakeha don't care about Maori, or that well-off people don't care about the poor, or that young people don't care about older people, or that our police force no longer care about the communities they serve, or that humanity as a whole does not care about the environment that we live in and the tremendous damage that we inflict on our planet every day. And the media would tell us that the reason that we have been behaving this way is because we have become increasingly selfish and uncaring people. But actually this time has shown us and reminded us day after day after day that this is simply not true. We have all been living in a country where daily acts of kindness have been played out for all of us in plain view, right in our town, suburb, street and bubble. And it is so contagious. We have seen neighbours come and offer to help. We have spoken with people we have never spoken to before. We have noticed opportunities to give our time or our money to causes that we didn't even know existed. And we have signed up to help people and organisations that we never had time to even learn about before. Even within our own bubbles, we have rediscovered new connections and reevaluated how special these people that we are doing life with actually are. We have set up those slightly awkward Zoom visual lunches or dinners and been amazed at how time has passed as we have genuinely wanted to spend time with people we love. And because we are already home and haven't had to suffer the travel either to or from the place where we are meeting, we've had the time to really relax, and it is changing us in a really good way. And the thing that is changing us is that we have time. We have time to think about one another. We have time to talk without meetings and notifications and reminders pinging and bonging and buzzing at us. We are looking one another in the eye without half an eye on the clock or half an eye looking out for our next appointment. And we are taking the time to listen again. And not to listen so that we have permission to speak, but to listen so that we can understand. It's hard to remember the contrast with our usual busy lives, where we don't have time to catch a breath and we swim with the morass of other people who don't have time, where we are looking at our watch or speaking and walking and eating all at the same time because again we have a day crammed full of busyness, and a diary brimming with appointments, and a reminder or a to-do list that just won't wait, and a world that wants a slice of our time all the time. We barely have time to sleep before we are up and at it again. And this time, not the virus, not the disease, not the fear, but this time has been an incredible time because it has made us stop. And now that we have the time to care, we have been able to. What this crisis has presented is an opportunity to see what would happen if the world just stopped. And what we have seen has brought crystal clear focus and understanding to us. Because here we are in this place, right now. Cafes closed, restaurants, bars closed, shopping malls empty, car dealerships closed, food courts empty and eerily quiet, 6-lane roads with literally no traffic on them. And because we have never seen this before, it feels strange, truly strange. And played out in front of us is this juxtaposition of the most beautiful and the most ugly ways in which we have come to live. And as we come to the place of returning to that world that I just described, we have the choice and the power to make this a better country and a better place for generations to come. But we really need to pay attention. Pay attention to the pain that we feel as we see our world in stark reality. Pay attention to the deep contentment we have felt as we have reconnected with aspects of life and relationships that were dying or dead. And right at this time is a perfect time for that advertising ecosystem, teamed up with our government to drive us all back to where we were, to get spending again, to get the new car, the new Samsung TV, upgrade the house, upgrade our neighbourhood, book that lifetime holiday. In short, for us all to step back into playing our role in that economy that we have just had the privilege of seeing exposed and juxtaposed on a stopped world. Please let me be clear, I'm not bashing the stock market or talking down the very substantial role that economics has played in lifting millions and maybe billions out of poverty. The big KPIs of our world have moved a long way in our lifetimes. Access to electricity, more balance between girls and boys in access to solid education, infant mortality virtually dispelled worldwide by comparison to 50 years ago. Access to basic health and drinking water vastly improved for millions of people. Big KPIs. Big progress. I am not saying that pursuing economical well-being is by definition ruinous or that every big brand is villainous. There is no doubt that there have been tremendous forces applied to very good things. The markets and economics is not by design set out to destroy our planet or our habitat, but its flaws are becoming more and more exposed. It just doesn't work everywhere for everyone. And when we are confronted with a mapping of the world's wealth to the world's population, most of us are completely unprepared for just how unfair it has all become. But in the words of a better writer than me, its intentions have been perverted and the protections that it offers have disappeared. In fact, it's been brought to its knees by one pangolin. And so I say you should get ready. You're about to get assaulted by the biggest campaign that has ever been brought to New Zealand society, and it will be designed to make you feel normal again. It's going to come to you from brands you are familiar with and some you are not. It's going to come to you from government. Indeed, one of the recent provisions in the financial program was specifically designed to catalyse consumer spending. It's going to come to you from your friends. And many of us are in that vulnerable position where we might be prepared to do anything or spend anything to remove this horribly unsettling feeling that we've been having during this period of time so that we can feel normal again, put it all behind us and carry on as we were before. But from one Kiwi to another, I ask you to consider taking a deep, deep breath. As difficult as it may be, ignore the deafening noise and think. Think deeply about what you want to put back into your life. It's only because you have had time that you have had this amazing opportunity to experience everything that you have. Those long chats with your teenage son, those lonely but special moments with your partner, those laughs with 5 or 6 other people at the end of a Zoom camera which started awkwardly but didn't seem to want to end. The books you read, the words you've written, the people you had the time to call, your mum and dad, that old school friend or workmate. It was only because you had the time that any of that was possible. And how you feel right now is a result of all of that. And yielding to that definite noise has a potential to again take all that you have rediscovered and made precious right out of your hands. This is our chance to define a new version of normal. A rare and truly sacred opportunity to get rid of the unnecessary and to only bring back what works for us, what makes our lives richer, what makes our kids happier, and what makes us truly proud. We do care deeply about one another. That is clear. That can be seen in every supportive Facebook post, in every meal dropped off for a neighbour, in every Zoom birthday party. We are a good people. And as a good people, we want to define on our own terms what this country looks like in 5, 10, 50 years. This is our chance to do that, the biggest chance we have ever had and the best one we'll ever get. We can do that on a personal scale in our homes, in how we choose to spend our family time on nights and weekends, what we watch, what we listen to, what we eat, what we choose to spend our dollars on and where. We can do it locally in our communities, in what organisations we support, what truths we tell and what events we attend. And we can do it nationally in our government, in which leaders we vote in and to whom we give power. If we want cleaner air, we can make it happen. If we want to protect our doctors and nurses from the next virus and protect New Zealanders, we can make it happen. If we want our neighbours and friends to earn a dignified income, we can make that happen. And yes, if we just want to live a simpler life, we can make that happen too. But only if we resist the massive campaign that is about to come. It's on its way.